Hello, Anomaly here, and welcome to another Mistweaver commentary video. Today we're going to talk about the final heroic boss in Tomb of Sargeras, that is Kil'jaeden, of course. So let's jump right in, because this is a long one. So the current Kil'jaeden fight is about 10 minutes long, and there's some like cool new phases in the middle. I think the darkness phase is very interesting. So when we get there, we'll talk about that. For the most part, though, this fight feels very similar, kind of in length and kind of, I guess, timing-wise, very similar to kind of a Gul'dan fight, right? So it's kind of these soaks that you do here, very similar, just some random AoE damage, and there'll be some adds that kind of do a lot more damage, and then like some lulls in between there. So a lot of bursty damage, but with some lulls. So I normally start off these ads with getting Innervate. It might not be the best use of Innervate, but I did have two available to me, and I was able to use it for most of the ads, so it just helped me spam out a little bit more. Fortunately, I do get Innervate a little early there, just because it's difficult to time with the Druid. So essentially, I just told our Druids like whenever they get a free global going into the ads, toss an Innervate on me, and I'll make do with what I can to kind of make use of that. So not perfect, but also not the best. For these knockbacks, really try and make use. I don't know if I do it here, but try and make use of Transcend. Yeah, I do. Um, it's really good to kind of drop your Transcend. You can kind of port back to it very easily. So for the most part, use Transcend as much as you can because the knockback is what kills a lot of people here. And if you can put yourself back on the platform, more power to you. The other thing that's really nice about this fight is what you'll see here, the running Essence Font. Essence Font on the move is actually, in general, probably one of the best things about 725 that they put in on monks. I don't think, I mean, any other changes, always good to get more healing, but in general, the movement aspect of Essence Font is just absolutely brilliant. I'm a huge fan. So here we are, we're kind of doing some more soaking, getting some more heals out, things like that. So just kind of general mechanics. I don't think I drop a transcend here. Normally I don't do it on kind of the intermission phase just because you're not truly in danger. And to be honest with you, I don't think I do it at the other parts of the fight either, just because um, I'm bad, I guess is like the easiest way to describe it. Um, so yeah. So the the next part of or just kind of this next section is kind of where you get ads again. So we're going to use another innervate going into this. Like I said, I had two. They're roughly, if you can see by the timing, about 2 minutes apart. So if you don't have two and you only have one, pick the one you want to use the uh, the cooldown on essentially. So we have somebody randomly soaking. I don't know why they solo soak that. You hold that for the next kind of phase, which is really bad. In general, what you'll notice is anytime you have to do the soaking mechanic, those debuffs that get on you actually tick for a lot. So those guys are going to need some extra healing. They're going to need to be watched a little bit more. So in general, just keep that in mind as you're healing. Is like anybody with the debuff, particularly going into the darkness phase, which is in like a couple minutes or so. Those are going to be the people that need kind of the most healing. So keep on top of that. Make sure they're aware, and make sure you're aware of those guys. Definitely have the debuff on your raid frames, because they're going to need probably some direct healing for the most part. So here we go with another knockback. I try and actually drop my transcendence. You'll see it's kind of in the or trying to use it. I should have ported back over to where I was, but I was in a good position anyway. So in general, use your transcendence to save yourself for the most part. So. Here I pop Manatee. I don't actually think I need it. I think I get kind of antsy when I have things on cooldown and I'm not using them. So I got a little nervous there and pop Manatee. Probably could have saved it for like this section and the section coming up in about 2 3 minutes, I believe, yeah, or a couple seconds. This is where we go from like there's ads that spawn, there's things that need to be soaked, and then there's a focus beam. So this is really the right around the 430-ish mark in the fight, depending on your DPS. This is where people are going to fall over if they're not topped. So if you have cooldowns, availability. I don't actually think I get an innervate here, which is good. Pop my revival, which I could have used earlier in the fight if needed. I think this was the first time I had used it. Uh, they definitely kind of save a bunch of your cooldowns there, and then at this point you're really going to want to try and push Kil'jaeden before the next Armageddon, the soaks, because going into the darkness phase with kind of all these soaks, or not this soak, sorry, the ones after this, but going in the darkness phase with and a bunch of people needing to soak, it's just in general bad, because the damage, taking damage already from that phase is a lot, and then compound that with needing to also heal people with a dot on them, and you're gonna lose some folks. So it's actually this Armageddon here that we need to push. So we're getting close. We got Kil'jaeden to 40%, and we are ticking into the darkness phase. So finish up the tank ad, and then get ready. So I think in this case, track humanoids was still working. I believe it still works now. I don't particularly know. I use Life Cocoon there to save our Warlock, just to kind of make sure he keeps up. Here's something that I didn't do that I think is not good, is that I'm not keeping Rushing Jadewind on cooldown. Keep it on cooldown throughout this entire phase. Like every 8 seconds, or 7 seconds, depending on what your haste is, click that button. It's a huge amount of healing in general for not a lot of mana, and it's extremely helpful. I do get an innervate through this phase, which I think is good, just to kind of get people top back up. But uh, I should have kept Rushing Jadewind on cooldown through that. And I think most people will agree because you're going to follow the group around. You're going to do some massive healing. So here is the big kind of boom right afterwards. You don't have a rift to kind of protect yourself from it. I will say that if you have Spirit Link, drop it. I don't know why our shaman did not drop Spirit Link. That probably someone didn't tell him what to do, and that's that. um, so we continue with the remainder of this phase. As you can see, mana is going to be tight through most of this. Everybody gets a dot from that first part. Everybody's taking additional damage because you're getting hit by obelisks because you're not moving out. So you want to try and this is definitely going to be hard on your mana. I'm lucky I get 2 innervates, which kind of gives me a lot more boost, but for the most part, stand in melee, keep refreshing Jade when on cooldown, and you'll do okay. Just move away from the little orange things if you're not responsible for soaking them. Our mage kind of took over and did all that for us, so just needed to watch him a little bit more than normal, and it worked out not too bad. So we did take a bunch of damage there, so I did pop a revival just to keep folks topped. I do have Chi Burst on cooldown for a while here, and I'm really not taking my advice. Like I'm not standing in melee when I should be, so you definitely want to kind of do that. At this point, I think I'm just popping cooldowns to pop cooldowns. I had an innervate available. Should have either used it here or saved my Velen's Manatee combo for kind of this section right here. Folks do take a bunch of damage like while you're sitting and soaking in there, so you want to kind of dip in, dip out, only be in for a second or two. I think we were in there a little bit too long as a raid. So you can see me manually clicking potions. That has been fixed. I am now, there's a rock keybound somewhere, so that's what I'm doing. um, but other than that, I mean, the rest of the fight is fairly straightforward. Right? There's more obelisks that spawn, the more rifts that you go through. So just continue to dodge those obelisks, and just in general stay clumped, right? Like I'm not doing what I should be doing here. Like refreshing Jade would be doing so much more healing if I was sitting in melee with 6 people around me, and doing as much healing as possible. So gosh, so I mean in general, like that's what you kind of need to do. And I do get an innervate here, which actually helps and actually kind of pushes us over the edge. I think, or pushes me over the edge, gives me enough mana to really uh, really kind of make it through the end of this section. So as a monk, you definitely have the most mobility, so use it to your advantage. Here, I actually don't know how I live here. I roll into that fire, and somehow end up living. The entire raid is extremely low. I'm just kind of spamming out at this point. Um, really trying to keep people as topped as possible. There's a really good solo soak by our mage there, which I think is probably the only reason that we killed this, is that they were able to kind of soak it solo and get it out of the raid so nobody else has to take any more damage. So Other than that, we kind of finished Kil'jaeden off here, and that is the heroic boss. So as you can see, it's very hectic. I made some definite mistakes, particularly when we talk about kind of the darkness um, phase of the fight, and towards the end, kind of staying a little bit more grouped up. But it's a fight where you're gonna get to use most, pretty much all your abilities. Transcendence is great for if you position yourself bad for a knockback. You're always safe. Or just to kind of get yourself back to the group so you can set up and line up, chi burst healing and things like that. So, in any event, it's thank you. In any event, I think the video's over. But thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, of course, head over to the Pika Cerny Discord. Those guys are great, super helpful. So, and if you have any kind of suggestions or anything you'd like me to do better, worse, things like that, leave them in the video below. But other than that, thank you very much, and we will talk to you later. Bye.